So a couple of my recent first home owners, the first one was a beautiful couple. They've been looking for 2 years prior to engaging our services, and they had a very tight budget. They had been looking in certain areas and they had their heart set on a particular area. We weren't able to purchase in that area, but what I was able to do was find them a property that was off market. No one else had seen it. I walked them through on the Wednesday. On the Friday, they went back with their parents. The following week, we put an offer on the property. They secured that property and it was all done within less than a week. And the recent bank valuation, we purchased that property for the mid 500s. The valuation came in at nearly $700,000. Can you believe that? Amazing, wasn't it? Just
absolutely amazing.
Ecstatic.
And another example of an off-market purchase for one of my clients recently is that we had a budget of $550. We were looking and we found that the market was going up and up and up, and they were looking for a 3-bedroom house, and in the areas that we started originally looking at, it just wasn't possible. Through our relationships that we have with the agents, we found out about a property, a 3-bed, 2-bath townhouse in a fabulous area that was coming on the market. It was built by a developer in 2011. He was now just selling them off, and I got my buyers through and they purchased that property before it was advertised to anybody else. And if that property had gone to auction, it would have sold for at least $50,000 more. So my buyers were absolutely over the moon with that result, because not only didn't they have to compete with someone else, because we missed out a couple of times at auction where we'd been told certain things and the market was roaring ahead, they actually got right near where they were already living in a great suburb for a price that was below what they thought they could get that property for.
And I recently had another case with a beautiful young lady who had twin girls, and she'd been searching for about 6 months prior to engaging our services. And then what happened is, whilst she was actually out there looking for property herself, she came across this lovely house she thought she'd never be able to afford. She actually bidded on the property at auction next door to that house, and she missed out. And it was actually a blessing in disguise, because what happened is she was introduced to me, she engaged my services, and then we went and purchased that property for her, the brand new townhouse. And she's just ecstatic. Her first comments to me were, I cannot believe that I've actually purchased this brand new home. I never thought that I'd be able to.
And I recently also worked with another client. Melbourne's an auction town. And the agents will tell you, oh, it has to go to auction, has to go to auction. And that's what many of the buyers are told when they're going through all of the open for inspections. But it's just not the case. It's a case of, with the relationships we have with agents, we are able to get the properties prior to auction. And what happened for one of my clients is he saw it on the Saturday. We had it bought by the Tuesday. This was in the first week of the open campaign. So it would have run a 4-week campaign, but we managed to secure that property for him at about $30,000 less than what it would have sold for at auction. Because in that scenario, it was an older lady, she had a little bit of dementia, she was being moved into her home, and her son was selling the house. And it was a case of him going, okay, I'm happy with that price if she can move into the home and get a private bathroom. They did the sums, it would cover that, so they said, yeah, let's do the deal. And he was ecstatic. My buyer was just ecstatic, because he did not expect to be able to get that little 2-bedroom villa for that price in his budget. So that's just another example of how we help our buyers.
So a couple of little tips for first home owners. Be clear on your budget. Make sure you've got your finance pre-approved before you actually decide to purchase the property. Know which suburbs you're interested in. Also, be prepared to compromise. Be aware of what is advertised on realestate.com and domain.com and the prices guides that the agent is advertising, because that's not necessarily the price that the property is going to end up at. And particularly if you get into an auction situation, make sure you have your firm limit signed off on the day, so you don't get emotionally attached and buy the property for more than what you originally agreed. So be firm with your budget, stick to your budget, don't allow emotions to get involved. I know you may love the property, but it's not worth the risk or the hassle of purchasing the property for well above what it's worth and the bank coming in and valuing it under, and then you have to find additional money to support that purchase.
It's one of the key factors that needs to be considered is your budget, and don't go over your budget, and do not put yourself under any form of mortgage stress, because a lot of our first home buyers that we deal with, they are about to start their family, and so that down the track they're going from 2 incomes to 1 income. So you really need to keep that probably the next 2, 3 to 5 years of what your income's going to be able to cover your mortgage repayments. It's really important.
Yep, and also take into account that interest rates always go up at some point. So always factor in at least a 2% increase and make sure you can afford to pay the mortgage repayments if interest rates do go up.